Well, I mean, I was just having fun today picking on Dogecoin, but the truth here is that, with crypto, let's break it down. I mean, there's innovation, there's hopeful utility, but a lot of that is like looking at the future. A lot of things are like in progress. A lot of things are conceptual. There's no earnings associated with a cryptocurrency. There's no earnings reports associated with a cryptocurrency. In fact, even the teams that are behind them, the more decentralized entities, are broken up into sub-entities, foundations. They're not tied to a coin. And so when you look at that, all you really have is community. If you don't have community, you could break that down further and say, well, there's probably no wallets. There's probably no liquidity. There's probably no trading volume, or at least very little, to where it doesn't even make sense to be in a certain coin. And I mean, this is a big thing. I mean, we talk to exchanges all the time who are asked, I mean, even on our side, we're asked on a busy day, we are asked by 25 to 30 coins a day to be listed on our site. And we don't charge, but an exchange could charge upwards of $1 million to be listed for a coin for trading. And that's not uncommon. And those exchanges actually spend a significant amount of effort listing coins. Well, that's a lot of effort to list a coin that has no community, no one's interested. So that's a problem. So not to say that we play the only approach, but we do at least provide some validation, especially to new like coins entering the market. Is there something here or is there not? And so I think it's compounded with crypto because there's no management teams typically, there's no earnings reports typically, but Wall Street, I mean, look, this has been talked about for quite a long time, but we just saw it. We just saw it. And I'd say another big difference too with crypto versus say Wall Street, before 6:30 in the morning here yesterday Pacific, Wall Street was closed since the following Friday, right? Crypto is never off, 24/7, 365. It's always on. And so just that alone, you can't even buy fractional shares on most stocks. It's behind. It's behind. Crypto, these markets, the way that they trade, the way that they're community driven is the future. And I'll throw one other big statistic at you. When you look at the major crypto news outlets, yes, they're talking about only crypto, right? Mostly. In the last year, like I'll mention because it's a number. I was just in another stream. We were talking about it. CoinDesk last year mentioned 113 different coins. There are about 4,800 actively traded coins in the market, and they mentioned 113. So Cointelegraph a little less. So do the math. That means that a huge portion of the market isn't even covered by any news. And when you look at major media, they're covering like the top 5, and that's it. And even at that, it's like, it's funny when you look at some of the mainstream media, it's more like, yeah, it's great that Bitcoin did this, but look out, it's risky, it's volatile. And crypto people love to say, well, no, it's the US dollar that's volatile and the endless money printing that's volatile, not the price of Bitcoin.
I mean, Janet Yellen was quoted this year saying that, basically it's used for criminal activity. It's like,
Janet Yellen was paid for by Citadel almost $1 million or $2 million. I don't even know the number, but she was paid by every Wall Street firm to speak via Zoom over the last year too.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. It's just it's fascinating. What do you guys see? It seems to me, having been with Nitin in the same like Internet 1.0 to Internet 2.0, shift that he was discussing, that the ship has sailed on cryptocurrencies. There's no stopping them. There's no policing them. There's no shutting them down. It's like a Napster Kazaa kind of a moment, I think. And it's just a question of being able to manage the marketplace if you're in it as to what makes sense, as a participant.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, there's Bitcoin, which you could say is like super hard money. And then there's all sorts of other things like NFTs. NFTs are absolutely exploding right now. I'll give you an example. There's a game that also has its own token called Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is an entire video game as you might know it, but every element of that game is a non-fungible token. And I think it was last week they sold a plot of land inside of Axie Infinity for $1.3 million.
That's
so
amazing.
Right, and now you're seeing, and I think it might be later today or tomorrow. I'm a huge fan of Street Fighter 2 from back in the day when I was a kid. I used to stack my quarters on the game, and I had it on my Nintendo, like name it. I played it all the time. And now they're releasing Street Fighter 2 NFTs. Some are very rare. They're like in packs that you can open or unopen. You can sell them unopened or opened. Just like I used to also trade baseball cards when I was a kid. And they're bringing that back into NFTs now. Then there's DeFi with all the money locked up in DeFi right now. It's insane. And so you've got that on one end, and then you got like MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. And Michael Saylor had a huge conference like a week or two ago. Joe, my business partner, went to it, and it was like there's like 1,000 CEOs lined up exploring Bitcoin right now, and their CFOs are. So I suppose you could say if Bitcoin fails, Tesla's losing actually now $2 billion. Michael Saylor is going to apparently lose, I don't know how many billion at this point. Grayscale is going to lose. I think Grayscale has more Bitcoin and Ethereum than anyone. I know they own tons of different. They have tons of different trusts, but and maybe that Canadian ETF that was just approved, they're going to lose all their money too. Actually, 2 of them were approved, I think. So it just becomes harder and harder to say this ends and it's a scheme. And these are also such large numbers of coins they hold. They're not just going to liquidate them. So 2017 is over. 2017 was a hype train of ICOs with no value. You want to talk about like a hype bubble? I mean, we saw it, right? And now there's value. And I think another perspective too could be like, we might all have been in this game a little bit, and you might think the entrance is Bitcoin. The future is probably going to be DeFi as the entrance.